为什么连我们都能？
你们本是无辜的亡灵，我不能再让你们继续。
他到底什么来
历？Soul Land 2, Episode 69. Wang Qiu'er reinforced her dragon armor, and despite Huo Yuhao cutting his wrist, the two ended up sleeping together, nearly causing a misunderstanding with Wang Dong'er. Nevertheless, their bond deepened undeniably. The plot picks up from the previous episode, where Huo Yuhao found himself surrounded by 3 wolf soldiers. In a critical moment, Wang Qiu'er voluntarily fused her martial soul with Huo Yuhao's, transforming into a full-body armor to assist him. As the 3-headed wolf soldiers entered their berserk state, they completed their Trinity martial soul fusion. A terrifying purple-black pillar of light engulfed Huo Yuhao, and the immense pressure within threatened his life. Fortunately, Wang Qiu'er arrived just in time to protect him with her golden dragon armor, emitting a sharp buzzing sound. Despite the wolf soldiers having only 10,000-year cultivation, their Trinity fusion had allowed them to hunt numerous soul masters and beasts, making them feel that their prey was doomed. As the purple-black light faded, the Trinity fusion of the wolf soldiers ended, and just as they prepared to feast on Huo Yuhao and Wang Qiu'er, one of the wolves suddenly stiffened, a golden blade piercing its chest. A dragon's roar echoed, and the wolf was blasted away with a massive hole in its chest. The result of Huo Yuhao's great cold without snow technique, combined with an ice explosion. Before the other 2 wolf soldiers could react, a lightning-fast figure appeared, delivering 2 soul strikes to their heads, freezing them in place. Thanks to Wang Qiu'er's golden dragon armor, Huo Yuhao survived the Trinity fusion. However, the once glorious armor was now tarnished, covered in battle scars with golden liquid leaking through its cracks. Empowered by their martial soul fusion, Huo Yuhao's soul power reached the 7-ring level. With newfound strength, he grabbed one wolf soldier and slammed it into the other, triggering a terrifying explosion that blew them to pieces. Huo Yuhao's great cold without snow had already drained their life forces, and the ice explosion technique finished the job. Afterward, Huo Yuhao collapsed, exhausted from the battle, while the golden armor flowed off him like liquid, reforming into Wang Qiu'er. She appeared battered and weak, her clothes torn and her face covered in blood, slumping into Huo Yuhao's arms. In a panic, Huo Yuhao held her tightly, recalling how Wang Qiu'er had risked everything to protect him. She had taken the brunt of the Trinity martial soul fusion attacks, saving his life. Weakly, Wang Qiu'er opened her eyes and said, "You saved me once, I saved you back. Now we're even." Huo Yuhao, alarmed by her condition, shouted, "Even! Even!" "Stop talking. Rest quickly." He could feel her life force fading, her body covered in numerous fine cuts, bleeding profusely. Knowing that without immediate treatment she would die, Huo Yuhao quietly resolved to save her, whispering to himself, "I have to save Wang Qiu'er." Huo Yuhao made a sudden move, ripping open Wang Qiu'er's clothes at the waist to begin his emergency treatment. First, he sealed her meridians with his hand and carefully stitched her wounds with needle and thread, injecting his ultimate ice into her injuries to ease her pain. As the treatment continued, he removed more of her clothing to tend to her wounds. Soon, all of Wang Qiu'er's injuries were stitched up, but her pink-blue hair was disheveled, her face pale and weak. Despite his efforts, Huo Yuhao sensed something was wrong. Wang Qiu'er was completely unresponsive. He quickly felt for her pulse and realized she had lost too much blood, and her life force was still fading. In a panic, he remembered that he had the life essence and wasn't lacking in life force. After cleaning and treating her wounds, he dressed her in his clean clothes and carried her to higher ground. There, he set up a tent, placing her body inside and resting her head on his lap. Determined to save her, Huo Yuhao cut his wrist with his white tiger dagger, letting his blood drip into her mouth to nourish her body. Though his strong life force caused his wound to heal quickly, he repeatedly reopened it to keep the blood flowing. Slowly, Wang Qiu'er's life signs stabilized, but Huo Yuhao, weakened by blood loss, grew faint and eventually collapsed from exhaustion. The 2 of them drifted into a deep sleep, while the 10,000-year soul rings of the wolf soldiers dissipated into the air. Half an hour later, the Shrek group, led by Li Yongyue, searched frantically for Huo Yuhao. Kai Meier prayed silently for his safety, as he was the future hope of Shrek Academy. Wang Dong'er, although anxious, remained calm due to her faint connection with Huo Yuhao through their martial soul fusion. After an hour of searching, Li Yongyue spotted a tent in the distance. Wang Dong'er rushed forward, calling out to Huo Yuhao, only to abruptly stop when she saw him lying down with Wang Qiu'er's head resting on his lap. In that moment, Wang Dong'er understood the situation. Approaching Huo Yuhao, she felt his heartbeat and finally relaxed. However, when she noticed Wang Qiu'er's blood-stained, tattered clothes and realized she was now wearing Huo Yuhao's clothes, her body stiffened. Lifting the tent flap to peek inside, her face turned pale. Han Ruoruo, standing beside her, reassured her that they had likely gone through an intense battle, explaining how Wang Qiu'er had lost so much blood that anyone else would have died. Though feeling a twinge of jealousy, Wang Dong'er shook her head, affirming her trust in Huo Yuhao. Kai Meier inspected Wang Qiu'er's injuries and noted that while severe, the stitches were well done, and with timely treatment and strong life force supporting her, she would survive. Wang Dong'er couldn't help but feel slightly hurt, realizing that Huo Yuhao had taken Wang Qiu'er with him on this mission while leaving her behind. But she didn't let it bother her for long. After a night had passed, Huo Yuhao finally woke up and immediately shouted, "Dong'er! Dong'er!" Hearing his voice from outside the tent, Wang Dong'er excitedly poked her head in, feeling a bit smug that she was the first person he called for. After a brief moment of warmth between them, Huo Yuhao stood before the group, but his concern quickly shifted to Wang Qiu'er. "How's Qiu'er? Is she okay?" he asked anxiously. Kai Meier reassured him that Wang Qiu'er was fine, and then inquired about what had happened. Huo Yuhao recounted their encounter with Zhang Liren and the three strange spirit beasts, but carefully omitted the part about their martial soul fusion. The group was stunned by the harrowing experience, and Wang Dong'er was left dazed, especially when she learned that Wang Qiu'er had been gravely injured while saving Huo Yuhao. Her expression changed, and she instinctively clung to Huo Yuhao's arm, not wanting to let go. Afterward, Huo Yuhao unfroze the two bear cubs that had been encased in ice. The cubs, about the size of large dogs, quickly revived and began to cry out, clumsy yet adorable. After some discussion, the group decided to raise the cubs in the inner courtyard of the academy. Kai Meier chuckled and commented that the cubs were so small they probably needed milk. At this, all the boys immediately looked down, fearing their eyes might wander towards the girls, who not only outnumbered them but were also much stronger. At that moment, Wang Qiu'er emerged from the tent, though still weak, and remarked that the bear cub's first meal should be placenta and umbilical cord. Zhang Lexuan hurriedly helped support her. Suddenly, Wang Dong'er let go of Huo Yuhao's arm and walked towards Wang Qiu'er. She approached Wang Qiu'er, who stared at her coldly. However, what Wang Dong'er said next surprised her. She apologized sincerely, saying, "Qiu'er, I'm sorry. I sincerely apologize for my previous rudeness and collisions with you. It was all my fault. Please forgive me." Huo Yuhao and the others were baffled, not knowing what was going on with Wang Dong'er. Seeing her carrying luggage, Wang Qiu'er was momentarily surprised, but then understood and told her that there was no need to act this way just because of Huo Yuhao. Wang Dong'er earnestly clarified that her apology had nothing to do with Yuhao, but was due to her personal feelings. She had always been rejecting Wang Qiu'er in her heart. Afterward, Wang Dong'er took Wang Qiu'er's arm, and the two returned to the tent together. Huo Yuhao was left stunned and unsure of what to do. Han Ruoruo stepped forward and, laughing, commented on how exciting it was, noting that this was the result of Huo Yuhao's messy love life, joking that one Wang Dong'er wasn't enough, and now he was after Wang Qiu'er too. Huo Yuhao quickly denied it, insisting that Wang Dong'er was the only one in his heart. Suddenly, Li Yongyue shouted in surprise, and everyone rushed to examine the three wolf soldiers' bodies. After a short moment, they dug out 3 identical left leg bones, emitting a dark purple aura with a flickering fluorescent light. It became clear that all 3 bones possessed spatial attributes, granting the ability to teleport. Huo Yuhao, having helped defeat the wolf soldiers alongside Wang Qiu'er, looked at the others who were filled with envy. After some thought, he decided to keep 1 bone for himself, give 1 to Wang Qiu'er, and donate the last one to the academy, understanding the dangers of greed. Meanwhile, in the tent, Wang Dong'er was telling Wang Qiu'er about her relationship with Huo Yuhao and the sea god fate ceremony. Wang Qiu'er listened curiously, fully engrossed. Wang Dong'er explained that the radiant goddess form she and Huo Yuhao had used represented how she would look as an adult. She mentioned that Huo Yuhao called her the goddess of light, but noted that Wang Qiu'er looked even more like the goddess than she did. Because of this resemblance, she had been hostile toward Wang Qiu'er. Wang Dong'er then suggested that since they looked so similar, they should become sisters. However, Wang Qiu'er firmly rejected the idea, saying there was no need for it, leaving Wang Dong'er stunned. Though she had apologized sincerely, Wang Qiu'er remained distant. Wang Dong'er then stood up and declared that, even if they couldn't be sisters, they were still classmates, and she would continue to take care of Yuhao. She thanked Qiu'er again for saving him and left the tent without giving her a chance to respond. Wang Qiu'er muttered to herself, thinking that Wang Dong'er had come to stake her claim, and her eyes turned red as she recalled Huo Yuhao's foolishness in cutting himself 117 times to transfuse blood to her. After a day's rest, Wang Qiu'er led the group onward to help Huo Yuhao and Li Yongyue obtain their red spirit rings. The two dark whale clawbears, which couldn't be stored, were hung on Huo Yuhao's chest. After some travel, the group reached the vicinity of the core area, where they heard a distant roar and sharp screech, indicating that two powerful spirit beasts were fighting. Huo Yuhao sensed that the fight was happening 4 kilometers away. Wang Qiu'er's eyes lit up with excitement, believing that they had found their target. Qiu'er, a titled Douluo, also sensed it and quickly judged that the two spirit beasts had about 30,000 to 35,000 years of cultivation, equivalent to high-level 7-ring soul sages. Hearing the distant battle, Qiu'er ordered the group to rest in place. As the intense battle preparations unfolded, Huo Yuhao continued sharing his spiritual detection, allowing the group to stay aware of their surroundings. Meanwhile, the two little bears clung tightly to his legs, making it difficult for him to move freely. Knowing a battle was imminent, Huo Yuhao turned to Dean Qiu'er, asking if they could use a larger soul tool to protect the bears. Without hesitation, he activated his sapphire storage ring, summoning a massive spherical soul tool with 8 long legs, which astonished everyone present. This was the all-terrain detection soul tool, a creation inspired by what he learned at Sun Moon Academy, but with additional Tang sect hidden weapon features. The group marveled at the soul tool's impressive size and capability, as Huo Yuhao explained its powerful defensive abilities. After placing the little bears inside for protection, he reassured the team that once the battle was over, they could all try piloting the tool. Vice Dean Qiu'er reflected on how the era of soul tools had arrived, and despite the resistance from the original Douluo forces and Shrek Academy, they could not stop its progress. Elder Mu's vision of integrating soul masters with soul tools had proven to be correct. Wang Dong'er curiously tapped on the soul tool, only for it to react by deploying countless metal barrels, startling her into releasing her martial soul. Huo Yuhao chuckled, warning her that the soul tool could get angry. The soul tool transformed into a metal porcupine with over 100 barrels and a 20-centimeter caliber cannon, which immediately targeted Wang Dong'er. The sense of danger was palpable, and Huo Yuhao explained that these additions were made by Xuanziwen, further enhancing its combat effectiveness. Qiu'er, impressed by the soul tool's capabilities, couldn't help but smile wryly. Huo Yuhao then expressed his belief that Shrek Academy should train all students in the use of soul tools, as only powerful soul masters could fully unlock their potential. He proposed that soul masters should treat soul tools as weapons in their arsenal, emphasizing that the future lay in customization, giving them an edge over pure soul engineers. Moved by his words, Qiu'er agreed that Shrek Academy, as the continent's leading institution, should be the first to adopt this forward-thinking approach. Their conversation was interrupted by a deafening roar in the distance, causing everyone to instinctively cover their ears and take a few steps back. The force of the sound signaled that the final battle was approaching fast. The group braced themselves, knowing the next challenge would determine their victory or defeat. Next episode, the earth-shaking roar and Ying Beast, dual sound and shadow. Huo Yuhao prepares to absorb his fifth spirit ring and return victorious.